sheet in your folder there, which I have carried for about 15 years, and it's been of great assistance to me over the last 5 years that I've been coaching. I received this in my playing days, and we were instructed to stick it in our locker and look at it from time to time. And I know over the years I have benefited greatly, from the points that are actually on this sheet. So what I'll do is proceed through each point and elaborate a bit where possible. The first part of it is the golden rules when in possession or attempting to gain possession of the ball, and it's on your sheets there. It's broken into two parts, but we'll just go through it as 7 points. The first one, these aren't in any particular order or any importance. First one, get the ball through in the quickest possible manner. And I know that's one thing that David has been hammering home to all the Carlton players this year, about being long and direct and doing things quickly, playing on quickly. One point that could be added here, which I think is worthwhile to instruct junior players, and you possibly see it on the replays, is the benefit of having teammates assisting to getting the ball back to a fella who's perhaps taken a mark and had it knocked to the ground, or received a free kick and the ball is still on the ground, getting it back to their teammates quickly so that they can set the ball in motion. So that particular aspect also is very, very important. I'm sure as I go through these points, a lot of them probably seem fundamental to you, and you probably use the majority of them in your own coaching. But I think it is very, very handy to have them down on paper and have them there to refer to. So the second one, 2 men together at all times, and that's something that I know every coach tries to get his players to do. Outnumbering the opposition, you hear it so often, coaches' comments that we were beaten because the other team outnumbered us and assisted their teammates. So nearest man to the one in possession should be making the effort to get there and assist his mates. And as it's indicated there, assist by talking, shepherding, handballing, or to receive the handball. I know I was on to my players, the reserves players yesterday in the Collingwood match. We were well down in this aspect of our game. We were outnumbered by Collingwood, and we didn't have the players who were prepared to run and assist by blocking and shepherding. An extremely important aspect of modern football, as I'm sure you're all aware of. Naturally, if you've got fellas outnumbering the opposition, automatically backing up. That's what we all like to see as coaches. Just one further point I've added there is, which I regard as very important, and I think if you can instruct junior players, tell them to do this, it will help them, assist them. After kicking, and they can do this at training or in a match, handballing, run on to assist. I know my experiences with junior players, and you even see it on the senior track, the number of players who will handball or kick and almost stop immediately, put on the brakes immediately. And part of backing up is being able to give the handball out or kick it on and follow it up, running on. Stop packs or crushes. And Peter Cameron mentioned before the aspect of knocking it on, knocking that ball on. And so often in junior football you'll see young fellas jumping on it, trapping it. And I think if you instruct them to knock it out, and anyway the way the umpires are umpiring these days, they have to do it, it'll certainly assist your team. And if the teammates are aware that it's going to happen, naturally they're positioning themselves around the packs in a suitable place to receive the ball. So hit, knock, kick, handball the ball out of congested play to a teammate who should be making position for this. They should be aware of it. Right, breaks up congestion, cuts out numerous ball-ups, assists the play on football, which is back to our first aim there, to get the ball through in the quickest possible manner, and allows player who receives possession to kick without opposition. By not receiving possession in packs, you won't be caught in possession. So I think they're all straightforward points. Number 4, and it's amazing even in senior football to see the number of players who fly in packs. When you think of this one, 3 out of 4 kicks are earned from crumbs. And I think if you point this out to the young fellas and indicate to them that 3 out of 4 balls are on the deck, on the ground, they will appreciate the importance of scouting and nominating and having one man up, one player up. I think there was a prime example in the game, senior game yesterday, the one with Des English, Mark McClure, and then Dooley going over the back, 3 Carlton players up, over the back to Davis, an easy goal. Right, naturally only one man should contest the mark. This player should be the one in the best marking position and should be verbally nominated by his teammates. Now, the second part of that point, organise the gathering of crumbs. And I firmly believe at junior levels the younger players don't put enough thought into positioning themselves at a marking duel. Spreading themselves around. You do find that they do get sucked into the play and they're all on the attacking side and have not put enough thought into spreading themselves around and giving themselves an opportunity of winning the ball for the team. So just that point, the rover, if possible, at the front of the pack, not too close. The sides and rear are covered by the nearest place position men. Right, point 5, keep in front of your opponent. Well, that's been stressed pretty strongly by the umpires. Right, it's the best position to obtain possession, best place to receive a free kick. When you're behind, you're automatically placed on a defensive position. If the ball is punched away, you are nearer to the ball than your opponent. So 4 fairly logical points there. Just something about being in front, and I've also found this with my coaching involvement with the under-19s, and you do again see senior players doing it, the importance of attacking the ball and going to meet the ball. So often, and I have seen it a lot at under-19 level, players tending to wait for the ball to come to them and they're swamped. In this day and age, you just have to attack, have to go in and meet it, take the ball on the run. As David says when we're doing certain activities, run through the ball rather than, and you do see a lot of inexperienced players who are trying to take the ball and go back, retreat, rather than going through it, getting possession and then doing something positive with it. Just one little point as far as which I think is extremely important in helping young guys or pointing out to them ways of keeping in front is something that you possibly have told them, but always be between your opponent and the ball. It's a particularly good little point, that one, if you can just insist them, be between your opponent and the ball, and if they think about it enough, they will be repositioning themselves and reading the play far better if they carry out that little point. Right, involvement, eyes on the ball, reading the play, extremely important if you are going to get that front position. Number 6, talking. I think we all realise that a team of 20 players, you get different characters. You get the quiet fellas, you get the rowdy ones, and you get the in between. But as coaches, we have to get them to communicate well on the field. It is very, very important as a team point, I think. Talking should be constant throughout the match and automatically performed by every player. I think that automatic response is very, very important. And this is where you can be onto your players on the training track. It is a skill. It's something that they have to practice, and then you'll find that they will do it automatically in a game. Make it loud, make it clear, make it intelligent, make it early enough. And that is another problem that I have come across in my coaching experience. The number of players who wait until the teammate has the ball in their hands before they start talking. I think if you can encourage them to be speaking as they're reading the players, even if they're 30 metres from the fellow about to receive the ball, get them talking and communicating from that point. And it is very important to have a two-way communication. What we mean there is the guy going for the mark should be talking and telling his teammates that he is going for it, and just the opposite. We're a bit tongue-tied there. On the other hand, you know, the player coming in should be communicating as well. Team spirit. Well, that's something that every coach endeavours to create in a team. And I think something here which is very important, learn your teammates' strengths and weaknesses. You know, if you can indicate that to the players, and it is very important if you know that your mate upfield is a left footer and he goes on his left, or he has similar common traits. You should learn them, know what they are going to do, predict what the players are going to do downfield. And the points under there for team spirit: friendship, naturally that's extremely important. Loyalty, doing things for others without thought of reward. The next one, courage is the mastery of fear. And obeying instructions, your captain, coach or umpire. Right, we proceed on to the next part. 5 rules to be followed when your opponents have possession of the ball or are about to gain possession of the ball. And as you realise, that's something that league coaches, or all coaches, are sort of really looking at closely these days. When the opponents have possession, what their teammates or team members are doing. Right, mind your opponent, and of course that's where we're expecting everybody to man up, particularly at kickoffs. You'll see even the senior match yesterday, a number of players who too slow in reacting to man up and get an opposition player and cover them, and then it makes it extremely easy for the opposition to take the ball downfield if they're not carrying this out. So at kickoffs, free kicks. Now when the opposition gets a free kick, very important to get someone, move and cover someone. Guarding marks properly. And when I was a player, we were always instructed, and you don't see it that often, you do see some players doing it, but just the benefits of having your arms up on the mark. You know, really concentrating on the player with the ball, because the opposition players have been instructed to play on quickly, so we have to try and stop them and put pressure on them so that they can't be creative and get that easy kick away. So arms up, they have to kick higher, and it is harder to direct an easier pass upfield. So just a little point, but very, very important if you're wanting to win matches. Naturally, every player has to endeavour to stop his opponent from playing on from a set kick position, not letting him run past and become a hand pass target. So you have to have players who are alert and reading the play, ready to run when they have possession, even if you think that the ball is not going to be given out to the player running, the importance of covering them just the same. And we all realise the importance of chasing and putting pressure on the opposition when they do have the ball. Not being asleep when your opponent has fallen over. And just a little point, but many instances in a match where it looks as though someone's in an awkward position, they're not going to play on, and out goes the handball, someone running past, and it sets up play further downfield. Another point I've just written under here, recovery. You know, very, very important to, I think, to instruct the young players to work very hard at their recovery. You know, you'll see them even on the training track, give a kick or drop a mark, very slow in getting back to retrieve the ball. Be quick, chase and assist. All right, point 11, an interesting one here, tackle rather than bump. And quite often you will see younger players going in, bumping when they could have laid a tackle on and dispossessed the opposition. You know, there are occasions where a good solid bump naturally is better, but if a tackle can be laid on, lay it on. Naturally within the rules, with concentration on where you put your hands. And I know something that I always instruct younger players, don't get sucked in by watching the ball go at the body when they're coming at you, because it's the easiest way to be put off balance. So with concentration on where to put your hands, with determination to complete the tackle. And tackling is a major part of our game these days. It really is, and you do see some very, very weak efforts from players because they haven't been determined enough. They haven't gone in fiercely enough with the idea that they are really going to lay the tackle on. And of course the fourth one, no one really enjoys being flung hard into the ground, but you know, that's all a part of it, isn't it? Last point, waste time unless we're kicking with a big wind. You know, and I'm sure you instruct your players not to pick the ball up when the opposition have a free. Leave it there. You know, you don't want to assist them playing on and moving the ball quickly. So where possible, waste time. I think if you hang on to these sheets, look at them from time to time, I'm sure you'll gain a great deal from it. I know a lot of league footballers have referred to these, and I know I've regarded it very, very highly, and I'm always referring to it, and it has assisted me greatly. So I'm sure if you use these and at the odd time blackboard lectures with your teams, you know, getting across some of these points to your players, it will assist them greatly too. Thank you for your time and attention.